Oh my God. This is my dream jacket. I think this might actually be my dream jacket.
Hi all, it's an exceptionally sweet day here in Toronto. I'm spending time with actress and comedian Ann Pornel. Ann has graced the stage of the Second City, as well as appeared in the Baroness Von sketch show, but you might recognize her as the witty and bright co-host of the Great Canadian Baking Show. She's hella funny and a fashion enthusiast, my two favorite things. We're gonna talk about representation, inclusivity, and diversity, themes that both fashion and comedy have the power to push forward. We're also gonna visit Hilary MacMillan up at her design studio. We'll continue our chat and do some shopping. Let's go talking and shopping with Ann Pornel. Hello! Oh, hello! Good to finally meet you.
You too, Lauren. You look stunning.
So do you.
Pants are everything to me.
I wanted to match. I wanted to match your new hair.
Here we go.
And this is wildly exciting. I've been looking forward to this all week. Why don't we start at the beginning?
Sure.
Where did you grow up and what made you get into acting?
I grew up here in Toronto. I came over from the Philippines when I was 5 years old, and I don't even know how I got started in acting. It started with comedy. I went to University of Toronto for my undergrad, and I didn't like it. So as a way to cope with that, I started doing comedy in university, and from there, I just kept doing comedy. And that kind of opened up opportunities to writing and sketch writing, and then that sort of parlayed into acting, and now hosting.
Yeah, and now hosting.
Yeah.
So what was it about sketch that had you at Hello?
I got into a sketch troupe that I auditioned for. Like, it was honestly, I watched like SNL and Mad TV growing up, but I never thought it was like a viable career option, or that it was even a career to do. I thought it was just people being funny on TV. And then in university, I auditioned to be part of the sketch troupe in Victoria College at U of T. And then I got in, and it was just like a really nice way to make friends and constantly laugh. And that's kind of what kept me coming back. I'm like, oh, it's kind of like doing plays in high school, and you're all just like hanging out with your buddies. And it's sort of that camaraderie that kept me going.
You are a Second City alum.
Yes.
Which includes Eugene Levy, a bevy of amazing women, Catherine O'Hara, Amy Poehler, Amy Bryant,
Tina Fey.
And can you speak to the importance of women hearing comedy coming from women's mouths?
Yes. It's important that everyone sees. Like, I feel like maybe about 5 to 10 years ago, there kept being this debate about, are women funny? And for me, I'm like, that is the most boring question. Like, we know that to be true. It's actually quite frustrating to have to like sort of separate funny versus not funny between something as idiotic as gender, because it's just like, people are funny. Even if you're not trying to be funny, you're funny. And being someone who is loud and fat and Filipino, when I do my comedy and when I write things, I'm writing it from that perspective, because that's a perspective that we haven't really seen very much coming up, because what we've seen a lot of is, you know, cis white men being funny, and they've spent a long time being in the spotlight for it. A lot of them have been amazing, a lot of them not so much, but it takes all types, and someone thinks they're funny. But I think what's important now is seeing different voices, so we can hear different jokes and different perspectives.
And since you do write, you can write the themes that are important to you right into your jokes, your sketches, everything. And those themes are inclusivity, diversity, representation, and body image. Can you expand on it a little bit, please?
Absolutely. So in my first Second City main stage show, I did write a lot of sketches that were from my perspective, because again, I hadn't seen anything at Second City talking about those issues. Things like feeling fat and being not allowed to call yourself fat. That's one of the things that I did, and I wrote a sketch about how when skinny women say, oh, I feel fat, it's okay, but when a fat person says, I feel fat, they're like, no, don't say that, you're not. And you're like, well, what's wrong with being fat? Fat is a word that describes a shape. It doesn't talk about sort of your morals, what you're like as a person. It is simply a physical descriptor. And so doing comedy has allowed me to say things like that out loud and to have a platform to say things like that. So one of my favorite sketches that I wrote and performed was one where I actually did a striptease, and I peeled off layers after layers after layers of Spanx. And that scene alone had women just go wild. And it was every woman, young, old, everywhere in between, skinny, fat, everyone just went wild for it. because it was one of the most relatable things to see, just like a chubby girl feeling herself on stage and being empowered by that. And also the whole joke of the Spanx, because I feel like as women, we all know what Spanx are about and how constricting it is. And sort of having a sketch that literally was peeling away those layers.
Hi, Hilary.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming. It's nice to see you.
Hi. Hilary, this is Ann.
Hi.
Can you tell me a little bit about the origin story of your namesake brand?
Yeah, so all started in 2013. It all started when I kind of moved back to Toronto, and my sister and I opened actually a jewelry store in the West Queen West area. And like being at trade shows and shopping for jewelry and like being immersed in this like art, community, I just like fell in love with design, and I was going to Fashion Week and talking to different designers, and I thought like the perfect time for me to start my own brand.
You empower women. It's built into the brand. Oh,
I love
Ann,
her.
it's perfect.
I love
Your hair.
her. I love her so much.
You're continuing to empower more women by making extended sizes. Do you have to cut more patterns?
Yeah, so it's not like you just, make an extra small or small and
Yep.
you grade up to a 4X.
Yep.
There are different things and different mechanics that go into process. So like, for example, a 1X person that wears a pair of pants, it's not like the pants just get longer. The inseam actually gets shorter and the rise gets longer. So there's different things you need to consider when you're cutting different pants for different size women. So we have 2 different kind of core patterns. We work with kind of extra small, extra large, and then 1X to 4X. The designs are the same and we keep all the details the same, but it's just like when you go to fittings, it's slightly different.
And do you now design for full size range in mind?
Yeah, so when I'm picking fabric, I try to pick things that would work for, multiple different sizes, multiple different women. And then in terms of like the details we add, we try to add things that will fit someone who's a small, someone who's a 4X. They're very different body shapes. And so you kind of have to think about that when you're designing different things.
And can you speak to wanting the same things that are available in straight sizes?
Yeah, literally, are these snow pants?
Yeah.
Because I've been looking for snow pants. Yeah. And I was just gonna say, when you get into sort of like more specialized or specific gear, like outerwear or specific outerwear, it never goes beyond an XL. And like, I have one of your jackets that I love because it is sort of that like long puffer trend that is so in, but like bigger brands don't make that. And it's so, especially like in this area, I'm like, I'm bigger in this area and jackets never fit, but like, I love that.
They should.
They should!
Yeah.
Because like, it's not just me, I'm not the only person with this body.
I think a lot of brands don't think there's a market there, but it's also like people just make things and then expect people to come to it. You need to market it. You need to put on the right bodies. You need to do more than 1 year. Like you need to start committing to it, and like you need to really put in the money in your marketing effort. Like, a big thing I'm speaking to different women is a lot of brands don't have all full size ranges in the stores.
Yes.
Which you can only get it online. So it's a lot of times people have to like do returns and return fees and all this kind of stuff if you're a larger body in that space, and I don't, that's not fair either. Like I want to go and try something on in a store.
So you just wrapped filming another season of Bake Off, but it's not Bake Off, it's the Great
Baking
Canadian Baking Show.
Yes.
It's Bake Off in England. But are you ready to be a role model, even more so than you are now?
I mean, is anybody? You know what I mean? I think that's a title that I do take seriously. And yes, like, yeah, why not? I think I'm a good person. I think I'm fun. I think what I represent and what my goals are and what is important to me are ones that people can respect.
Do you think that we're getting better, both in fashion and media? Is representation getting better?
Yes. I mean, just by me having a career is evidence of that. Could we do better? Absolutely. When we think about representation, especially in plus bodies, we're only kind of given the hourglass shape or things or body sizes that are less than perhaps a size 22. But there are many people who don't fall between the size 12 and 22s that deserve a voice and that deserve to be seen, and in a way that is empowering and not like they're the butt of the joke or that they are the person that you should feel sorry for, because different types of people, different types of bodies live full lives, and it's great that we're starting to expand that, but there's always room for more.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that you felt like you were coming more into your own in terms of fashion the past few years.
Yeah. Plus fashion has come leaps and bounds in the past couple of years. I haven't been able to sort of participate in trends or fashion up until that happened. And I would say it kind of started with Forever 21, RIP, it's no longer here in Canada, and fast fashion isn't the greatest. However, fast fashion is often the carrier of a lot of a more inclusive size range. So that's where plus size bodies kind of get their start. Growing up, I was always chubby and fat, and so I didn't get to really play or participate in all of the trends. So I love that the 90s are back right now, and now I can kind of cosplay as the teenage self that I wanted to be. So absolutely in the past 5 to 10 years, my style is evolving. Like, I don't think I've settled on what Ann Pornel's personal style is quite yet, but I'm having so much fun exploring that and having the options to do so.
I have to ask you if blondes have more fun.
Yes. Like, yes, you know this. Yes, yeah.
But now it's bright pink.
Yeah, this is even more fun than blonde.
Hilary, you keep adding to the line.
I know, it's too much maybe.
Never too much, never.
Time.
So swim. You
Swim.
went into swim.
Did.
What's it like going into a new category?
It's scary, but it's also fun. It's kind of like you don't know how people are going to react to it. At first, also, to me, it's like a first draft. That's what a new collection is always. You're learning a lot every time. So it's been well received, and we had so much fun kind of designing it. It's really signature to our band in terms of like lots of colors, lots of prints.
And you love color and prints.
I do.
Do you ever wear black?
I used to wear a lot of black back when extended sizing wasn't as prevalent. So now that I have more options, I don't typically wear a lot of black anymore. I love wearing that color and then like just going out for a coffee in outfits. Like, I know we don't need, like, I dress up when I go to get gas because I know that like people are looking and people really do appreciate when they see someone really well dressed. So I'm like, look, it's like a little fashion show, but getting gas, so like.
Sparks joy.
It does.
Your selection of models and the inclusion that you offer within your campaigns is fantastic.
Yeah.
And you just worked with the Queen, Priyanka, for the swimwear.
Yeah, amazing.
What was that day like?
It was wild. It was 13 hours. So it was a pretty long day. Yeah. But she's like such a professional. Her team's amazing. She's so much humor and she's so fun, and it's just really great being around her and like seeing her transform from like, regular life to, Priyanka is just like really fun to be part of it and witness it.
And where is production?
For SWIMWEAR, it's in Canada, out in Scarborough, and then we do about 50% in Canada and about 50% overseas. So it's a mix of mix, but everything on our website that's made in Canada, like you only shop made in Canada, is labeled, and so everyone can,
Back to the categories. You introduced homewares.
Yes, we also did home. It's been a busy year. It's our first home. We're trying to transition into more of a lifestyle brand, so like little accent pieces here and there. Again, also a lot of color, a lot of prints, a lot of textures in this home collection. It's not hugely large, but it's I think it's about 20 pieces, so it's just a fun way to brighten up your space. A lot of people in the pandemic were like rehabbing their space and adding color and making it personal, so I felt like it was the perfect time to kind of introduce a little home.
With your smarts, your wit, your talent, there is this bold, bright, glamorous style that is obviously coming across on the show and in your everyday life. Is there any looks that you would want to participate in, like head to toe leather, a full Balenciaga onesie into the boots?
Always. Give me any designer label. Like, honestly, I would try anything once because I think it's fun. I think, why not? And again, I really go back to this a lot because it's really important to me. I haven't seen plus bodies represented in all of the sort of fashion movements that have been out there. And so I don't know what that looks like. So I would love to see what it looks like on me, and getting more and more opportunities to do that as sort of brands and designers become more inclusive.
Yeah. Why don't we throw that
to
pink
see the
one on?
length.
Let's throw that pink one on.
I again was eyeing this on the website, but I was like, I don't know how long this would be on my 5'3" little body.
Well, this is what I always recommend. Get a good tailor or come here. We do offer free tailoring service too.
See, tailoring is one of those things, like as a fat girl, when you have less options, things like tailoring don't even come into play because you're like, well, if it fits, it's gonna fit the way it's gonna fit. Like
Yeah.
I never think to alter.
I don't think you should do like, I'm not like a big fan of like major tailoring, but like lengths and armhole, like arm lengths. Like, you know, if you're shorter, just getting this like taken up a little bit is never like a big.
How do you mean? It shouldn't be like this to my fingertips? This is beautiful. I don't even care that it's too big. I like that oversized look.
Coming up soon, which you, since you love color, we're doing it in this kind of like
Why did you
pink
show
and
me?
red.
I can't.
Barbie pink.
Yeah. The back is my favorite part of it. The Barbie faces.
Yeah, it's from their diversity collection. So like we got to use some of their assets to create the embroidery. So that was really lovely.
How does that sort of come up? Like when you collaborate with bigger
So
corporations?
Yeah, it's like trickier. Everyone's got like specific brand things that they have to do and we have to abide by, but they have a huge asset library, so we got to like really pull from things that worked for us and kind of use it to collaborate in our pieces as well. And then that's actually Barbie in sign language.
I love it.
This was for day one of the Junos.
Yes.
And you collaborated with Vinta.
That's right.
And her name is Caroline, and she's a
Yes.
Filipina designer.
Yes.
So can you walk me through this beautiful, frothy moment?
So I was actually introduced to Vinta by Vanessa Magic, who was an incredible stylist, an incredible human being, and for a few of the looks for the baking show over the seasons. So Caroline and Vinta focus on Filipina sort of silhouettes and designs, and it was the first time I actually got to wear the butterfly sleeve, which is sort of an iconic Filipina silhouette of the big sleeves. And when I saw the dress, I cried. She has a video of it. And when I saw it on, I was so emotional because I never envisioned myself getting to wear fancy clothing.
Yeah.
Because it's just not really available. Like I remember going prom shopping, and like it was always so hard and stressful. And things like being a bridesmaid for a wedding. Like when you're looking at formal wear, it's already so limited as a plus woman. And so when I got to see myself in these beautiful garments, it was incredible. And I got to be like, so this is what it feels. So this is what it feels like to be on the other side or to be under a size 12. And it was honestly a defining moment because I was like, there's no reason why someone with my body can't be wearing these beautiful things. And it's only because no one is brave enough or it wants to invest the money to have a more inclusive size range. But Vinta did that and is doing that, and I'm so grateful for it.
And you've kind of stepped into your own the past few years
Yes, don't mind me.
by stepping into a more variety of clothing. What in here are you dying to try on?
All of it, simply all of it. Especially jackets. I can never try on jackets in store because they're just not available. So to see all of this outerwear, I'm like, well, I would like to try all of it on. Oh my God, this is, oh no.
Yeah.
This is my dream jacket. I think this might actually be my dream jacket, which is furry and neon. I just love anything that evokes something like a, ooh, that's what I love. Like the clothing that makes people go, ooh, rather than like, nice, or oh, I want the ooh.
Yeah.
Obviously,
You're totally lighting up, and we were talking about how fashion really can have that effect. It's a tangible thing, the
Yeah.
feeling when you step into amazing clothes.
Yes.
Are you feeling amazing?
A little. Very much so. But that's what like, this feeling is like I didn't get to have this growing up because first of all, nothing was this fantastic growing up, but also it was again not available. So now that it is becoming available and accessible, I feel like it's just more joy is had in shopping as an experience. Before it wasn't, it was stressful and you're like, oh, am I gonna find something? Is it gonna be this? Is it gonna be that? So shopping never was that fun growing up. But now, it's
super
like
fun.
it's so fun. It's the most fun.
Can you, Hilary, explain why you feel feminism and fashion are intertwined?
Ooh, yes.
So I think they're inherently intertwined. I think they're, so woven together. Not even the fact that like 90% of your clothes are made by women, but a lot of the women's liberation movement, a lot of things that, you know, allowed women, especially in the 70s, is like inclusion of pockets on clothes for women and like, you know, pants and denim and all these things that kind of allowed us to like step out of these, you know, domesticated roles. And it's such a way to be individual and be yourself and really just show who you are. And I think that's really important. And I think because it's such, you know, 70% of the consumers are women, it's made by women, and then still a lot of the like major companies are still helmed by men. It's just like an interesting industry that we're in, but it's getting better. And I think it's a great way to show your individualism.
And Victoria Beckham wore this jacket.
She did, yes. She famously doesn't smile, so she was on City Line with Tracy Moore, and Tracy Moore gave it to her, and that was got a kick out of it. So.
Did you know?
I knew it was happening. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't just like I was like, oh yeah. So we knew the day of that it was happening. So.
And portion of the proceeds are helping women's initiatives.
Yes, so especially with these jackets, because they do say different things that are kind of, you know, for that movement and for women. So we give percentage of the proceeds to Up With Women and then Black Women in Motion. And they're both Toronto-based organizations that help women.
I have a philosophy that if you can see it, you can be it.
Yes.
And that is essentially what you are helping to push forward.
Exactly.
So I was hoping we could maybe talk about the parallels of how both fashion and comedy can push conversations forward.
Absolutely. For both fashion and for comedy, for so long, we've only seen a very narrow viewpoint of what is possible. And again, through comedy and fashion, it's slowly getting bigger, that lens. And I'm so grateful to be part of that, because like, I could never have dreamed, again, of being in such stunning garments until fashion was ready for that. And I want to show that off. Like with my Instagram, I just post my outfits because I think it's fun. And women ask all the time, where's that from? Where can I get that? And that tells me that brands aren't doing a great enough job of making it known that plus size fashion is available for people. And so I share that, and that's one of the ways in which I do as I say, and you can also do it as well, just sheerly by existing.
Hilary, can you come in and help us with sizing to help with our try-on session?
This is a 2X.
Let's try it.
Yeah, may as well.
And if not, we also have an orange. You guys want to do different?
This is my favorite. It's like when people show me things I wouldn't choose for myself, and then I'm like, ooh.
You want to put this set on?
Sure. Hilary picked something, yeah. Oh, this is adorable. I'll take them both. All right.
Okay.
I'll go to this one.
This is where we do all our work. So this is our pattern drafting room and our sewing room down here, and some of my employees are here too. You guys want to take a look?
Thank you.
Welcome. This is actually quite clean for us usually. So yeah, we do all our sampling here, and then we do production off-site. But we do all our patterns here. So this is like some of our patterns, and then we keep some fabric, and then we sew samples in the back room.
I see the pillows.
And we have the pillows, yes. So this is from our home collection. These are all made in Canada. This is kind of just a snapshot of some of the pieces, and there's actually 12 in total, so this is 2 of 12. The fabric is from a mill in France that we work with, and they hand weave everything. It's actually the same mill that Chanel uses, so you can kind of see some similarities in the fabric.
You sure can. And then you're not formally trained, are you?
Yeah, I went to school. So after I went to UBC, I went to design school where I got taught everything, and then most of it is just kind of working and learning as I go.
Oh my God, fantastic. Because you have a poli-science degree first?
Yeah, poli-sci economics degree, yeah, as my undergrad.
And you've got a science degree.
Yep, biological anthropology. It's coming to good use.
Why were the arts such a draw?
Well, I would say for me, I like, 40% is kind of arts and the rest is I run a small business. So a lot of it is stuff that I learned in my business degree, my economics degree. And so it's a little bit of both. I think Ann probably is a lot more creative than mine.
I mean, mine is a Bachelor of Science. So, and I did comedy as a way of stress relief. And then I was like, Mom and Dad, I'm gonna graduate with my undergrad degree, but I'm gonna take 1 or 2 years to focus on what I wanna do, and then I'll get a real job. We're still waiting for that real job. I think it's turned out pretty good for me so far. So.
I think it worked out for you. It worked out for you. I think that's an amazing note to end on. Thank you so much for having us here. It was absolutely spectacular. So we've talked and we've shopped, and now we're gonna get the hell out of here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for opening up your studio to us. I've always been so curious as to what the space looked like.
Come back.
I will happily. I'll come back for that pink jacket. Amazing. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Always nice to see you.
Nice to see you, and thank you again.
Yeah.
And let's hit the road.
Let's go.
And you're an absolute rock star. That was so fun.
Thank you. Thank you for taking me to Hillary's. I've always been so curious about what her studio and her space looked like.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna sign off now, but be sure to check out Ann on the Great Canadian Baking Show. You can stream it, and then the upcoming season 6 will be out in the fall.
Yeah.